Hi guys, on the surface it looks as if the entire DUP sings from the same hymn sheet, but this is very much not the case. The current leader Jeffrey Donaldson tries to portray a hardliner persona when speaking in Parliament or to the media about the Northern Ireland Protocol and the Windsor Framework, but is believed to be more of a pragmatist, yes, a strange word to associate with the DUP, and someone who actually wants to get back into power in Northern Ireland, but is constantly under pressure from the headbangers within his party, who would be happy to sink the union just to make a point. So will the DUP bite the bullet and restore the Northern Ireland Executive so people in that part of the United Kingdom can get government services up and running? Susie Breen from the Belfast Telegraph explains the problems the pragmatists face.
Jeffrey Donaldson will face major problems if he brings it to the officer board. Now, there are 12 party officers. I think there are 5 who likely are very keen to go back to Stormont, and there are 5 who aren't. In the middle, I'm told from sources, are Gregory Campbell and Carla Lockhart, and there would be an awful lot of pressure on Carla Lockhart. I think her natural instinct would probably be to go with Jeffrey Donaldson, but she is in a very hard-line constituency, and she will be thinking of the price that she may have to pay if she agreed that the DUP went back into the executive. What we also need to remember is that a split party officer board is the last thing Jeffrey Donaldson wants. If he makes a big decision, ideally he wants to carry the vast majority of senior personnel in his party with him, and at the moment it doesn't look like he could do that.
So just briefly, what you're saying is you think a split is basically unavoidable?
I think a split at the moment is unavoidable. Certainly, again, comes with a major health warning, but I'm seeing no signs that those who would oppose what's likely to be on the table from London are prepared to back down.
And this all stems from, of course, the fact that the DUP had somewhat made a promise that they would not go into government with Sinn Féin. So, I've said before, the Windsor Framework and the Northern Ireland Protocol is not the real issue for the DUP. It's a smokescreen. Because before the election, before the local elections, the DUP were pushed into a position probably that most of them didn't agree with, but they were pushed into that position by hardliners either within the party or the likes of the TUV or the loyalists outside politics altogether, who have been putting pressure on the DUP not to go into government with Sinn Féin if Sinn Féin win the most votes and become the biggest party in Northern Ireland. That actually came to pass. Sinn Féin became the biggest party. They had the choice of putting in their first minister, their candidate for first minister, and of course the DUP were painted into a corner. The DUP are very good at painting themselves into corners. So then they had to make a decision. Okay, do we go into government with Sinn Féin after saying that we probably wouldn't, or what do we do? So they had to look around for something, and they decided the Northern Ireland Protocol was the problem. Of course, the Northern Ireland Protocol has nothing to do with the Northern Ireland Executive. It's an agreement between, part of the withdrawal agreement, an agreement between the UK and the EU. So it's the business of Westminster, not the business of Belfast. But the DUP were desperate, so they pulled the plug on the Northern Ireland Executive, saying, well, we're not going into government until the Northern Ireland Protocol is scrapped. They couldn't achieve that. Then it came along the Windsor Framework. Now they've been saying, well, we're not going to go into government unless the Windsor Framework is changed in some way to suit unionist concerns. This is all, once again, a smokescreen because the DUP were pushed into a position where they wouldn't go into government with Sinn Féin if Sinn Féin had the position of First Minister. So Northern Ireland hasn't had an executive for ages because of this position. Now the DUP, some people in the DUP realise, well, we can't do this forever, including Jeffrey Donaldson. Jeffrey Donaldson, before the elections, was singing praise of the Northern Ireland Protocol. But now that it's been used as a political tool against the EU, against the UK government, against Ireland, against Sinn Féin, he's using it for that. It's a terrible thing. It needs to go. But we're in this mess because the DUP have no strategy. They have no long-term thinking. They're not able to look at, okay, what is good for us as a party? What's good for Northern Ireland? And let's go with that. It's all this very short-term thinking and always resisting any sort of change. Northern Ireland has changed dramatically since 1998. and the DUP have to go along with that, otherwise they're going to become irrelevant. And it's inevitable that there will be some sort of split within the party. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.